And tonight on our Great American panel, he is the editor of National Review, syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor. Rich Lowry is back. He has worked at the Washington Post, serving as an editorial writer, op-ed columnist, once worked for NPR. Fox News contributor Juan Williams is here. She is a fellow with Project 21, also a Fox News contributor. Deneen Borelli is here. Guys, good to see you. This Florida school board meeting is unbelievable. Now, we got some of the video of this, and we're going to show some acts of heroism here as well. You got this guy. We'll get into his background in a minute here, but let's roll some of this tape.
I've got a feeling that what you want is the cops come in and kill you because you're mad, because you said you're going to die today. But why? This isn't worth it. This is a problem. Please don't. Please don't. Please.
I'm going to kill you. Don't you understand?
All right, now there's more video graphic that we didn't show here. There's also some other incredible moments. First of all, that guy that was talking said, look, I'm the one that did this. His wife got fired. You know, let all the other guys go. And a woman at one point, we have the video of this, she comes in after the women were allowed to leave. She comes from behind and tries to take the gun from the guy. I mean, look at this woman. It's a pretty amazing story about how people, you know, deal with that. The guy ended up killing himself. But your reaction?
Well, thank goodness no one else was injured, because there were students in the room as well that day. But
earlier
in the day, right? But this is obviously a case of someone who was, you know, really had some serious problems, mental problems, and that he was trying to take it out on other individuals, and he should not have done that. But when that woman hit his arm with the bag, I would have rushed the guy. I mean, I would not have just sat there. I would have done something.
You mean the people on the panel?
I could not have just sit there and let him, you know, take shots at people.
I've been shooting since I'm 11 years old, and you know, it's a miracle from that distance.
Thank God he wasn't just a lunatic, he was a terrible marksman.
Yeah.
But Sean, every time something like this happens, it's just astonishing, the character of the American people, the bravery of ordinary people in these situations. Because you have the guy, you mentioned that on the school board saying, let everyone else go. You have the woman charging in with a handbag, and then you have the armed guard eventually shooting him, and he was very upset at having to shoot him. But there's also a lesson here. Ultimately, what stopped these guys is someone else with a gun. You can have a handbag, you can try to talk him out of it, but if he's bent on doing mayhem, you need someone with a gun.
Apparently he had a gripe, rich versus poor, and bought into this class warfare struggle, et cetera. But I want you to respond to what Rich said.
Well, I mean, to me, the craziness here is that there's so many guns, and especially, you know, you hear from people who are supporters of gun rights for everyone, and they say, well, you know what? It's not the guns, it's the person. Well, in that case, then why is a guy who had been charged with stalking, previously was shooting a missile into a vehicle, had been in prison, why is that guy allowed to have a gun?
Listen, I've had weapons my whole life, but I've been well trained in the use of a firearm. And I agree with you. If you're a felon, you shouldn't have a gun.
Well, that guy shouldn't have a gun. So there's a breakdown somewhere when people like that can get guns. And unfortunately, what we're seeing in this country is there is a pipeline from states with lax gun laws so that people end up with guns and they commit crimes, or they get crazy, they become mentally unstable, and then they're shooting you and me.
But unfortunately, the criminals find a way to get guns. If you have a state where they're not friendly, they're not gun friendly with the Second Amendment, the criminal knows that, and they know if they're going to go into a house, they know that person is not supposed to have a gun. So really, citizens should be allowed to at least exercise their right to own a gun if they choose to. Thank goodness that guard was there.
And assuming this guy had more ammunition, if there hadn't been an armed guard, he would have walked behind the school board table there and just killed everyone. And there would have been nothing to do to stop him.
I'm not saying that police shouldn't have guns. Police have a legitimate reason to have a gun.
What about law-abiding citizens?
What about law-abiding citizens?
Well, unless you have a reason, like you are being threatened.
I'm a gun owner.
You're fine. Okay, but I'm saying...
We feel safer. Are you packing right now?
I might be.
What
oh, my God. I think I better be quiet.
See, it makes everyone much more polite, right?
To keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, don't you get?
Hey, look, you're reading from something that has to do with a militia, not with individual rights.
No, even President Obama says it's an individual right to bear
That's what the court says, but I think the court's wrong. And I tell you, as someone who lives in a big city, where I see
people to have guns?
Well, I really don't think it's a good thing.
But the police can't be everywhere, Juan. So citizens should have the right to protect themselves and their families.
No, I understand this point. I understand.
Juan,
and by the way,
carry permits in Rhode Island, California, Alabama, Georgia, and New York.
Yeah,
You have a problem with that?
No, I think in your case, I think you need to protect yourself and your family.
In your
no,
case,
but what
you're
I'm
a
saying
walking
is...
target. Thanks a lot, Williams.
What?
What does that mean? In my case, I'm a walking target.
No, you're a very famous person, and people might have political intent.
But
But what I'm saying is, I understand.
Right as well.
No, I understand. In fact, I think Justice Thomas wrote an excellent opinion that goes back literally into history about the right of black people to protect themselves from lynching and abuse and the like.
We have a lot more with our great American panel.